Okay, then let's kick start. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, so today we are going to, so we almost covered, yeah, we covered everything basically for cloud integration. Few topics, I mean, these are something which are not relevant, I would say. Life cycle of the keys. Life cycle of the keys is basically the keys which you create in the cloud cockpit are these days only valid for 90 days. So that's the thing. So if you are sharing these details to someone, then you have to make sure that these keys are refreshed. And when you refresh these keys, the credentials will change in a way. So that's something about life cycle of the keys, but nothing more than that. So one is this, and secondly is whatever you create these destinations here. So there is a period to this. So for example, here, if I go, yeah, there would be one. So that's moreover about the life cycle. And then some transport we will see at the last. It's not that complex or something like that. And the one is EMQP. This we will see when we start event mesh. Okay, then so I'm jumping on to API management. Start with API management. It's an interesting product offered by SAP, also a part of integration suite capability. As we have seen earlier on, that together with an integration suite, this is also offered as one of the uh, capabilities together with cloud integration, event mesh, SAP API management, open connectors. Yeah, so API management is also part of integration suite. So let's start with API management. And also it is becoming more and more popular with respect to the way companies these days are adopting API-led architecture. Yeah, moving towards offering more and more API as a standard services rather than building point-to-point interfaces like how we used to do in our legacy world. Let's say our ERP application is connecting to 5 or 6 applications, and then if anything changes in that ERP application, it impacts all those applications, or if anything has to be changed, then basically the mappings and all. So maintaining is becoming maintaining an operations is becoming a really a pain in maintaining such architecture. That's why companies are more or more going towards event-based and API-led architecture. Yeah. So I am a big fan of API management, and you can also see how what benefits it then gives in the overall enterprise architecture landscape. So then let's jump into. So today I would like to cover introduction to API management. Yeah, and let's see if we'll see different components. What are the part of API management? How is API management structured? What capabilities do API management offer? Yeah, something like that. And in our subsequent sessions, divided the sessions into 4 lectures. So now we are doing 1.5 hours in a way. So let's see if we need still 4 or 5, that we will see depending on our pace and your understanding. And if we have more questions, if we need more time, then will go accordingly. Yeah. So as we did with cloud integration, please feel free to interrupt me in between if I'm explaining any topic, or if I'm explaining any concept for API management. If you uh, need me to repeat, or if you still have further questions, then please interrupt, please stop me. I will not mind, and please feel free to ask as many as questions you can. Okay, then let's get start. So I prepared a documentation on API management, so which I would like to share and start with some of the basics of API management, and then we'll go further. So API management, as you all know, with the name. Why? What is API management? So API. So API is nothing but any services which we create, which we all these days we were talking about interfaces, services, right? So each and every service or interface needs an API to basically execute it, to call it, to fetch. So APIs are needed mainly to push the data, to fetch the data. Like in the OData, we saw that OData is an API and it offers many CRUD operations, right? Create, read, update, delete. Yeah. And it is all done via an API. Now, every company has several APIs in their environment. Yeah. And managing these APIs is becoming more and more uh, headache, basically, an issue within an enterprise. So you actually do not get an holistic view how many APIs, let's say you have an X application, let's say if you have an S4 HANA application, how many external applications are calling an OData API in S4 HANA? Yeah, maybe, or you have a function module, let's say, or an asynchronous SOAP service hosted in S4 HANA. And you see that this service is actually calling issues in S4 HANA, where you see number of calls coming to this service are increasing day by day, and you don't know which application is calling this service. So you may have hundreds of SAP and non-SAP application in an enterprise, right? And then it becomes quite difficult to trace which is the source of these API calls. Yeah, because you have shared a single endpoint, you have shared a single credentials, yeah, to multiple stakeholders, to multiple consumers. Yeah, and then sometimes it may also happen that, so the current concern is, or the issue is, so this is the S4HANA system. You have an API which is here. Yeah, here. So this is, let's say, S4HANA, and we have an API here. So this API can be an OData service, SOAP service, RFC function module, any of these services are called as API. At the end, it's the consumer is calling and fetching some details out of it. So it can be an OData, it can be an RFC function module, it can be an SOAP service, it can be an IDOC. IDOC is also basically you are hosting over a HTTP protocol. So at the end, you are sending some information. Yeah. So all these can be an API. And now, for example, you have shared the URL of your HANA systems and the same credentials to, let's say, external applications here. Same. Yeah, sometimes you can create dedicated technical users also for each application. Yeah. But what if you're sharing credentials and the URL to these applications, and then you don't know which of the application is generating that much of load in here? Yeah. And if you're changing, if you want to, let's say, decommission this API or service because you know do not want to offer this anymore, maybe you are doing an S4 HANA upgrade, and after upgrading or patching of the S4 HANA upgrade, this API is no more available as a standard. So you're decommissioning it, and you don't know in your lifecycle management whichever application is impacted then. Yeah. So these are certain challenges which you can have if, for example, you don't use API management. If you offer APIs to be directly connected to target applications, yeah, to consuming applications. There can be applications which are over cloud. There can be applications which are on premise, any applications. So you need to control, basically, we need to have a bird's eye view, like 360-degree view over our APIs, how it is getting consumed, who is calling it, how many times it is called, what is the performance of this API, in how many seconds, milliseconds the response is being given back. Yeah, we can even meter this API. For example, if you are offering this API to an external application, and you can say every API call you make, because I'm offering this as a product, this API. Every call you make, I will charge you 1 cent. Yeah. So those things you are missing if you are having these kind of an architecture landscape. Yeah. So now SAP then bought the concept of API management, with which you can have a better control visibility over your APIs. And that's where the concept of API management evolved, yeah, and introduced, and that is what we are going to see now. So API management are nothing but doors to your enterprise, and therefore every digital business should have a well-defined enterprise API layer, which is consistent, harmonized to expose all enterprise API based on custom domain, blah blah blah, and schema. Yeah. So what does it mean is harmonized and consistent. So for example, now if you offer this URL to an external application, the person may see this URL mainly with your host name and the password and the port. So your virtual host or your host of the S4 HANA system. It can be your server, right? VWDC, AMAPP, PRD, something like that. Can be your host name, colon 8080. And then the URL starts, let's say OData API demo, whatever. So at the end, this is the URL which the application is calling. And does it looks nice? No, right? So basically you can, by using API management, you can then set a custom domain on your APIs. So you can say basically then, if you are using here, let's say API management, in between here, let's say if you have an APIM here now, let's say if you have APIM here. So in APIM, you can then say my domain is this HTTP colon slash slash Viatris, for example, Viatris, yeah, .com slash. Now you can say OData API slash demo. You can even give some viatris.dev.com. You can give viatris.test.com. You can give viatris.prod.com, so that the caller knows which environment this is belongs to. So yeah, okay. So this is how you can basically then set a domain on your APIs. Now there are uh, so 5 benefits in a way of using API management. So API manager allows you to define an enterprise API layer exposed through an API custom domain and a base path URL. So this is what we see, that this is the API layer which we are defining within our enterprise. And then we are also able to set this custom domain over our API, so making our APIs more meaningful and also enterprise specific. Yeah. Then harmonizes API access, including common authentication mechanism, yeah, and business level authorization. So as you can see now, the entire, just by this box, the perspective has completely changed now. There is now a gateway in between, right? And API management then offers standard authentication mechanisms. It offers like OAuth communication, Java Web Token verifications, basic authentication, header authentication, whatever, so many. Now you can set in your enterprise and security policy or or a security guideline saying that every API which we are going to expose, or every API within our enterprise, all the external system needs to do an OAuth authentication. That's a mandate. So then you can set this OAuth authentication here. It can happen that behind this, there can be a legacy application, very old ERP application, let's say, or a custom non-SAP application, whatever. Legacy ERP slash custom non-SAP, very old application. Yeah. It's not even offering uh, technique, right? But one of the audits happened in your company and they said you cannot offer APIs directly from your application to an external application and ask them to call basic authentication or send an username and password in a header, for example, because right now security is a biggest concern within enterprises. So such APIs as well, you can then expose it via API management. So you can say, okay, no worries, we have API management in our company. We will expose this API, or we will give you this API via API management. So basically, the external system is then authenticating or going via API management. It's offered a gateway using API management, and here you can provide OAuth as an authentication technique. And internally, this API management is then calling the API where it is hosted, which is hosted on a legacy ERP application. Internally, this is fine because this is within the company. Here you can set basically an open authentication or some policies, but this is within your reach, within your network, basically. Yeah, you can have a cloud connector here for within, because within API management and this application, because this API is in cloud and this application could be in on-premise, and connection going via cloud connector is anyway secure because this cloud connector is within your DMZ environment, within your firewall. Yeah. So this call is safe, and this call is also now from a security perspective compliant. Yeah, and no external application is directly penetrating within your enterprise, calling the server directly via using simple authentication. So that's the benefit, one of the benefits. Yeah, then API management also offers several policies, security policies it is called. So authentication techniques, different authentication techniques, custom domain, yeah, authentication technique, plus it also offers different security policies. So for example, this product itself from API by SAP guarantees all these as a standard services, features offered within. So denial of service attack, injection attacks, cross-site, all these hacking attacks are basically SAP has promised. So if you are a client or if you are a partner with SAP using SAP API within your enterprise, then you have a contract with SAP where SAP says, don't worry, we already have secured our API management in such a way where such attacks can be uh, denied or can be handled. So you get out of from the as a standard feature all these built in within API management. Yeah. Plus on top of that, you also have other policies which you can then implement within for your APIs. For example, one of the policies is here there is a caller. Okay, there is a caller who is calling an API, which basically accessing some API within your ERP application or HANA application. And now you want that this caller should, so one few policies just to start with could be, let's say, IP whitelisting. Yeah. This is one of the policy which is also most used. You asked your external provider to give the IP ranges where its application is hosted, and you took those IP range of those external provider, and you said, I'm whitelisting those IP ranges in my APIM service in my API, so that only calls coming from those IP ranges will be allowed in this API. If let's say if a hacker from any country or any let's say any region unknown from this IP range is making a call, then let's say to this API, then this API will reject that call coming in because it will say, I'm getting this call from an unknown source because it's not listed within my IP range. Yeah. And then the API will directly block the access to this call. It will reject the call. So what happens is this hacker cannot penetrate inside. It may happen that this hacker can run some magic code and it may generate, let's say, 1 lakh calls in 1 second. At the end, what is happening is your system will go down because suddenly you will get so many calls, and it's fun for a hacker. But at the end, this API will protect such calls coming in because it's coming from an unknown source. So these are some security policies. One of the policies is also like IP whitelisting. We will also see this later, but just for an example, it can be like spike arrest, quota policy, something like that, just to know, give you some names here. Yeah. Then one of the features is two more. It's like it also offers a business hub, which is called as API SAP. It's called as a business hub. You can call it as an API catalog. Yeah. Uh, or you can also call it as a developer portal for, yeah. So uh, so can anyone did anyone all got a chance ever to go to this SAP API business hub? Do you know this page? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is nothing but it is API management, but this is SAP's own business hub. So these are products and services which are offered by SAP as a standard services, which any customers can subscribe and use it. So that's how a business hub looks like. And you can establish a similar business hub in your enterprise as well. So you can change the header here, you can have wireless here, you can have any company logo, and then within that company, the APIs which you have, you can publish your APIs here as products. So this is nothing but you're cataloging your API. And this is nothing but this whole thing is a business hub. So if you go in any of the services like BTP, then in BTP, these are nothing but all the services. Let's go in S4HANA. So as you see, these are nothing but services. SAP S4HANA integration with SAP Fieldglass. Yeah. If you click this, then there will be interfaces here. You see integration flows. You can basically click this and you can utilize this to do some, you see, it's direct already some given interface here. You can download this directly and import it in your cloud integration and do something out of it. So these are nothing but products and contents offered by SAP to its customer as part of their business hub. Yeah. And this is same thing which you will also get as part of the API management. So you can have your own business hub. So at the end, what happens is with APIM, you also have got a business hub, let's say, which is nothing but your own company catalog, API business hub. So at the end in your companies, there are 100 APIs. You can all list and publish those APIs here in the business hub. Yeah. So here, all the APIs will be here. And then part of this business hub, and then all these external applications which are here are then free to discover these APIs. Like here, what I'm doing is I am a customer, I'm a consumer, and I'm discovering this API. I'm exploring things here. Yeah. So this is nothing but a discovery. First you discover, then you explore. So discover is nothing but this. Then you click on this. So this is nothing but I'm exploring. Yeah. And at the end, what I will do is, if I like it, if I find this API is meaningful, I will consume it. So these are the things which you can do with Business Hub: discover, explore, and consume. So that is what API Business Hub is. Then the last section comes is analytics and governance. So as I said before starting, governance is an analysis. These are the main pain areas if you do not have this middle box in here. Like basically, you cannot govern calls coming in to your API. You cannot analyze. Let's say there is one external application here who is making a call directly to your API, but somehow he's done a wrong implementation. Somehow that the call which is coming in, it's not passing the correct payload. Yeah, it's not requesting this API with the correct payload. There are some mandatory attributes missing, or some critical, or some the payload is not in the correct format, or there are some characters which are special characters which because of which your API is failing. And this external application does not know as such, but what it has done, it has developed it, did not do a good testing, and pushed already its code in production. And now you see you are getting several calls to your application, and all these calls are failing. You are in your trace log in S4HANA system, you see this API is logging many errors. Yeah, but it's hard to then detect which external application is doing it. Yeah, and and then backtracking, it's difficult. That's how your analysis and governance capabilities of API management helps. So within API management, you already can know who has subscribed to this API, who was the subscriber of this API, and then who is consuming it. So you can identify each of these applications separately, each of these consumers separately. So in your analyze section, you can see graphs, and you can see some analysis, like depending on each of these consumers. And then you can notice, oh, this is the consumer, it's passing this payload, and which is not correct, and that's the reason my API is failing. Then you can catch hold of that service owner or application owner of that application and ask several questions, or maybe create an incident for that application, and then can ask them to fix their implementation. Yeah. So those are the some features of the API management, which is why it's very popular, which is why it's gaining more and more popularity. More and more companies are using it widely. Yeah. Okay. Any questions until now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Perfect. Then let's proceed further. I will skip this theory part here. I would like to show this. This is nothing but uh, uh, some core components of API management. As I said, there are two sections within it. One is API Business Hub, and the first one is API management itself. So this is also called as API portal. Yeah. So API portal and API Business Hub. Remember this name always. So API portal, in API portal, you can do your design, build, deploy, everything. You can even call your APIs from your API portal because you are the developer of the APIs. So, so and also your analysis and metering analysis and governance section is also within the API portal. We will see these portals next, but one of the core components of API management is the API portal, where you develop your APIs, build your APIs, deploy your APIs, publish your APIs. Yeah, these are the things. And then one is API Business Hub, from where you can discover these APIs, consume these APIs, yeah, explore the APIs, like how what we were doing on the SAP API business app. Yeah. So this is nothing but another component of API management here. So without business hub, actually there is no meaning about for API management as well. Yeah. So without business hub, you lose all these capabilities of tracking applications, which consuming application is calling this and all. Without business hub, you just your API will look like that this application cannot even call this API without business hub. Yeah. So that's why this has to go in combination. There is also one more thing which I did not, which I wanted to mention it here is every API portal comes with a default API business hub. 1 minute. Oh shit, what I'm saying. So, whenever you create an API portal, yeah, it always comes with a standard a default business hub. So that's why I said every API portal has a business hub. There is no meaning to API management without these two in combination. Yeah. But what is also interesting is this API business hub can be connected to multiple API portals. So you can have, but that is limited to 3. So basically you have one API portal, you can also have the second API portal, and then you can also have a 3 API, third one API portal. So this one, this basically you got as a standard or as a what I say default one, because for this API portal you anyway got a default business hub. But what you can also do is for this API portal you can also configure an different API business hub. So here and here we will see this concept later on. What do you do with this two? But I just wanted to give you an idea that one business hub can be connected to 3 different API portals. So just as of now, just keep this in mind, and later on we will see how does this two works in combination. One more thing, I before starting this session, I did not ask this question. Has anyone already have experience with API management in this round? Okay.
No
Okay.
practical.
Sorry.
I'm saying no practical experience.
Okay, but at least the concept part, this theory which I'm doing is also known, or is it? Because I just wanted to understand the knowledge about the group so that it does not go into very basics. Okay, just give me a minute, 1 second, please. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, fine. So then let's continue. So this is what the core components of API management, API portal, and API business app. Now let's see the data objects within API management. Yeah. So the first, yeah, this, I don't know, this it's not visible, but I tried to. So when I'm clicking this, it's crazy. It opens up like this. Fine. I don't know why in the PDF it did not got downloaded, but nevertheless. So there are 4 different data objects within API management, and when they all are combined together, then you form a meaningful API, or then you basically you are you are able. So basically all these 4 components, with this all 4 components, you will then create this part here. Yeah, you can offer this API two different external systems. And this we will see what are these four data objects. So one of the, okay, first of all, before jumping to this, I would like to show you here, first of all. So how when do you use API management? Yeah, I already gave you one example here just as a starting point, but you can see from this diagram, let's say you have a backend application, and in our case, we are taking an example of S4HANA. Now it's can be a cloud hosting for S4HANA. It can be in the private cloud where it's protected with a firewall, or it can be on premise, which is anyway hosted in your data center physically on a server, which is anyway protected by a firewall. Yeah. And then this S4HANA system is offering APIs, as we saw here, OData APIs or RFC function module, whatever, which you then have to call. Yeah. And an application is coming in and saying, I'm an external cloud application or outside your network, but I'm interested in calling this API. Maybe it can be a payment provider. It can be your uh, you all are very much aware of your logistic providers and 3PL providers, where all these providers are well outside your organization. Yeah, maybe they need to access some information by calling this API. Maybe they need to know goods movement service. Maybe they need to call one of the APIs just to basically get some information. Let's say they need to call some master data API just to get some information about the availability of a stock in which warehouse and things like that. Yeah, whatever, can be any scenario. But you don't, but this application cannot penetrate within your firewall and call this backend service, because your firewall is protecting all the calls which are coming in and will not allow. Your security team just says no means no, will not allow you any calls going beyond this application, beyond our firewall, and penetrate to this API. Also, from an enterprise architecture perspective, you will not even set these kind of an architecture where you will say, okay, I'm allowing external applications to call directly my backend application. And that's where you can bring in API management. So you don't need to even, you can have a standalone API management as well. You don't need to basically have a CPI in between or a middleware like an integration, like a PIPO or a cloud integration working with API management, not needed. So what you can do is directly take the API credentials from here and host this API as a proxy within API management. Now, since this API management is also on cloud, this API is now available here over the cloud to this external application. So from security point of view, you are also covered, and you have a better control over your API, and basically you are not allowing any of these external application going directly calling your APIs hosted on your backend applications within your network. Yeah, so that's the use of API management. So and this is what we are doing, is we are taking this API and creating a proxy over this API. So with this, we have not implemented any functional logic or business logic in this. It is just that we have exposed this API from here to here. That's it. So the caller is calling the same API in a way, but it's going via this proxy. So at the end, it's calling the same payload and getting the same response, but the call is coming here. So the calling life cycle is only from here till here, and the other part is basically restricted. So other part is then handled via API management. So API management take this call, sends this call to the backend application, gets the response for it, and then provides the response back to the caller. Yeah, this is what we will see later on below, how the flow of an API call is done. Yeah. So overall, this is what API management is. Yeah. So this is a system. This is a provider of an API. correct? Because API, there has to be a provider. If you are telling an API, then there has to be an owner, an application where their API is hosted on. You cannot just have an API and say that no one is hosting this API. Then it's not an API. Yeah, it's just a documentation of that, but it's not live. It's not deployed anywhere. As soon as the API gets deployed, that particular application becomes the provider of that API. So in API management, this is called as what? This is called as an API provider. Provider. Yeah. So or system. Yeah. Then if you are now taking this API and you are creating a proxy in here, then that is called as an API proxy. So you're first of all, you are building a connection between your API management, API portal, and this system and this provider. Once you have built this connection, then you are able to view all the APIs which are inside this application. Yeah. Now this application says, please take this API and you deploy this API in your API management. Then you take this API details and you create a API proxy. That is called as an API proxy. Once you create this in an API proxy, then there are two other ways how you can offer this, or how this external application then call this API proxy. So we will see that also now. One is, so once you create an API proxy, then basically you need to assign that proxy to a product. And once you assign that product, you need to publish that product in API Business Hub. Once that product is published in API Business Hub, then you have to create an application, or this particular application or an external application can then subscribe to that product. And after subscribing to that product is then allowed to call this API. So this is basically in a nutshell API management is. So you have a provider, you have an API proxy. So I will just list down some names here so that we know it. So what do we have is, first you have a system. It's also called as a provider. Then you have a API proxy. Then you have a product, and at last you have an application. And now we will see the relation to all these four things. Yeah. So the first one is system. Data object. A system is simply a logical name for some backend system of record. Each system you define will act as the provider of the backend function, such as web service or OData service. Yeah, this is nothing but a diagram for a system. So in our case, can anyone tell out of these three which is the system here? So in this diagram, which is the system?
Backend.
Backend one.
Correct. Yes.
Backend.
So this is the provider of the API. So this is the system, first of all. Correct. So then we have to create such system in our API management. Yeah, in our API portal. Then comes the proxies. Yeah. So so if I open this now, you see there are now different proxies. What is an API proxy? An API proxy is a data object that contains all the functionality to be executed when an external user wants to access the backend service. Correct? Within the API proxy, you can implement blah, blah, blah functionalities like checking the user has not called this API more times. Yeah, permitted by quota, some security policies, spike arrest policy, or maybe we can translate the incoming request into a SOAP XML payload or do some custom functionality, etc., etc. So, and the development within API management is, if you have developed an API proxy, that means 99% of your effort is finished. So if anyone says, please expose this, please, we want to call this API via an API management. So majority, 99% of the work is development of this API proxy. Once you have that API proxy in place, The other things are all configuration. Yeah. So creating a system is a configuration where you are establishing a connection between this API management and the system. You are not developing anything. Then creation of a product is a configuration, and then this application is subscribing to that product is also some kind of an configuration. What you are doing basically is the development of the API proxy. And this is where 99% of the effort goes. This is where you do several things. This is where you create policies. This is where you create authentication, set up authentication techniques. This is where you do some kind of validations like incoming. So if the sender is sending a XML, you can also implement an XML validation here just to see whether the XML which is sent is in the correct format, whether it has mandatory attributes, whether the date type is sent as a date type and not a string. And if this XML validation fails, then the caller gets back the response from here itself. And the advantage is this garbage call or this bug or the call with the wrong payload is not sent to a backend system. It is from here itself restricted, given back. Yeah. So those are some capabilities which you can do within an API proxy. And now further we create, so we created different systems. So different systems are nothing but in your application, as I said, you may have many applications, many SAP and non-SAP applications, which are offering APIs like S4HANA. Maybe there are more applications where legacy ERP applications, some custom non-SAP applications. There are further more applications like application A. Here are more like, for example, you also mentioned Hyperion is an application, for example. Yeah. Or you also have an application A, whatever you name. Yeah. Let's say, for example, your success factor, if you are using in your company, then it is also an application. Yeah. Maybe you have some employee portal or your HRM, HCM portal. That is also one application where it is hosted. Yeah, your HCM here. So these are nothing but different applications, and these are nothing but systems then. So at the end, you will create multiple systems in API management. So this is a system created for S4HANA. This is a system created, let's say, for Hyperion. This is a system which is created, let's say, for success factors. And furthermore, you can create 100 more systems, which are nothing but your applications, or your applications which are running in your enterprise. And now each of these systems are capable to offer APIs, because at the end, either a non-SAP application or an SAP application, you can deploy APIs there. You can offer APIs from there. Yeah. So here you can have, let's say, 3 services which anyone can call. Here there are multiple services. Let's say if anyone wants to pull employee data, or anyone wants to pull some org chart or org hierarchy. Here is some payroll information. Yeah, some APIs here basically. So as for HANA, you have many standard APIs, like so many of the APIs here. So at the end, that all these APIs can be exposed as a proxy in API management. So that's why an API proxy is always linked to a system. It's always connected to a provider. And one provider can have multiple API proxies, but one proxy can only be connected to one provider. It's not possible that this API proxy, let's say it's a proxy to get employee information. Now your employee information only lies in success factors. So this API proxy is connected to success factor, but at the same time, this API proxy is also connected to, let's say, your HCM system. This you cannot do. It's not possible to do it. Yeah. So one API proxy can only connect to a particular system, to a provider, but with one provider, you can have multiple API proxies in API management. Is this clear? API proxy and a provider.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So, so then let's move on further. Products now. So basically, as I said, it is not possible for an external user to consume an API proxy directly. So this in where was that picture here? If we do not have business hub or something like that, your external systems cannot call this proxy directly. So for that, you need a product. Now we will see this product. In order for your API proxy to be visible to the outside world, you must first add it to a data object known as product. The purpose of a product is to group proxies together into units that represents all the services needed to perform some larger unit of business functionality. You think of a product as the unit of API exposure. Yeah. So for example, a product, let's say all your sales order APIs you want to see in your enterprise, you have do you have some kind of API, let's say maybe related to stores platform, let's say store master data API, store stock API, or something like that. You may have it, for example, right? Or you may have any kind of generic data objects, for example, uh, sales order. So you may have like a sales order APIs where you get sales order information, customer information, or things like that, whatever. So you can do one thing, you can create a product called as, for example, uh, maybe orders or sales orders, for example. Yeah, sales orders. So this is nothing but a product which is created within, oh, sorry, I will take this here. And then, okay, wait, let it be here. And then you can link those API proxy to this product. So this is nothing but a product here. Yeah, product. Now, let's say in S4HANA, you have two services which gives you information about sales orders. So to API proxy, you're saying, I want to club this API proxy to this product. Let's say then you have an Hyperion, which also gives you some information to query sales orders, for example. So then you say, okay, I will also list this API here. And there can be also in ER in some other application which are also offering some information about orders. So at the end, you have formed a product which is nothing but a basket of multiple APIs clubbed together, bought together. And as you can see with the name, it all belongs to a data object called sales orders. Similarly, you can have one product called as employee, for example, here. Now for employee, you can have an API which gives you an employee master data information like an employee which is where its address is, name, birth date, and so on. An API which gives the payroll information of that API, an employee which gives some other information, let's say some information with respect to, let's say, his tax details or tax ID, whatever. So, and then this forms another product. So you have two products now named as sales orders and employee, which consists of a set of API proxies. So this product forms a set, and in this set, you have multiple API proxies clubbed together. So that's called as a product. Now in this diagram, you will see this picture here. So now with this picture, you can see one product can be linked to multiple API proxies. Yeah. So it's not like a system. As I said, in my picture here, this was a product, and this product has an APIs from S/4HANA system, from Hyperion system, from your legacy ERP application. So this is one system, this is another system, this is another system. At the end, you are clubbing all these APIs which belongs to different systems into one product. So that's why in this picture, this API proxies which are coming out of different systems can club together in a product. So let's talk about this product. This product can have two API proxies from this system, one API proxy from this system, and one API proxy from this. That forms a product. Yeah. So at the end, product can be a combination of multiple API proxies, and one API proxy can also be a part of multiple product. Yeah. Earlier we saw that one API proxy can only belong to one system, but this is not true when it comes to product. One API proxy, this API proxy can also be listed in this product or can also be listed in this product. So let's say you are creating a third product here, and in third product you are saying I create a product called as all Viatris APIs, all Viatris APIs. This nothing but this forms a product. Yeah. And what you're doing is basically you are then every API which you have in your landscape, you are making a part of this Viatris product. So all the APIs can then be part of this. Also fine. So at the end, this product will be a big product where you can have, let's say, 100 APIs as part of this. And this same API is also, let's say this API is now also a part of employee product, but this API is also a part of a complete all Viatris API product. Yeah, maybe this product you can then use internally for any testing purpose, for any analysis purpose. Yeah, and this product is more meaningful product which can be offered to external consumers to consume it. Yeah, so these are nothing but products. Then, any question to products? Yeah, seems not. And then the last point comes is basically applications. So finally, we come to the last data object known as application. Yeah. The conventional meaning for the term application is a unit of software with which a user interacts in order to perform some business tasks. So that is where a consumer connects to. So a consuming application, an external application in this picture, this application is not calling this API proxy directly, is not calling this API product directly, but it will then call an application. Yeah. So, and via this application, it can then access all the APIs within this. So let's remove this from here. I'll put it here. So let's say now there comes an application. Yeah. So here comes an application. So application 1, let's say. Here comes an application 2, and then subsequently an application 3. Yeah, whatever. And then we will see the relationship between application and the products. Yeah. And basically these external objects or applications are now connected via these applications. Yeah. All these external applications systems which you have, satellite applications, are then connected via an application. And from this applications, they are choosing which product they want to subscribe to and from which product they want to use an API. Yeah, that's how there is a relation between an application and a product. And that's why this sentence says with which a user interacts in order to perform some business tasks. Okay. In the context of API management, application is a unit of API consumption. In the if you as a developer, uh, so external business application wish to consume the API proxies exposed through various products, you must declare your usage of those products by the creation of these data objects known as application. Yeah. So in other words, in API management, an application represents one user's subscription to a specific set of products. If different user wishes to subscribe to the same set of products, then they must create their own application. This is how API management is then able to manage the usage of API and keep track of things like quotas and all. Yeah, that is where the fun starts basically. And that is where we will able to govern and analyze which application, which external system is calling our APIs, how many times, and so on. So at the end now we'll see this picture. Yeah. So let's say this application, it's maybe your logistic provider. Yeah. So belongs to, let's say your logistic provider says, uh, maybe I don't know, maybe I'll take some name. Let's say Kuehne+Nagel is one logistic provider company, 3PL company. Yeah. Also, I think I don't know if you are also using Kuehne+Nagel, but it's one of the biggest one as well in Europe. So, and they came as a logistic provider. So Merck Sealand is also one. Kuehne+Nagel is one. Let's say Fige is another one. Yeah. So, and then this uh, external application or vendor comes and it says, can I call your API to, I want some information related to a product. Let's say you have a product and in that product you have many spare parts. And I want to know how many spare parts are there so that I can maintain my inventory and I can see if I do not have all the products, all the spare parts, then I will not ship this product, for example. Yeah. And for that, it needs to call an API to get all the information which you have maintained in your master data objects, in MDG objects in your S4 application. And you say, yeah, we have an API in S4 HANA, standard API. You can give a product ID or an article ID, and this will give you all the components which are attached to this article. Now, so what that Kuehne+Nagel or Fige will do is they will come to your API Business Hub and they will create their application. So this application then belongs to either Fige or this application then belongs to Kuehne+Nagel or maybe to any other vendor. Yeah. And via this application, they will now subscribe to a product. Let's say then they can discover, okay, I can see there is a product which uh, which shows that it has master data APIs for an articles. So it can subscribe to this product, and when it subscribe to this product, it sees that in this product there are 5 APIs, which then it can be called via this application because this that application or that vendor is subscribed to this product, and in this product, if there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 APIs, then via this application, all these 5 APIs can be accessed. Whether this API belongs to system A, B, or C, it does not matter. At the end, that application is subscribed to a product, and from this product, you are then free to call any of the APIs which are listed inside this. Yeah. So what at the end, this application is dedicatedly created for that 3PL provider, and then that 3PL provider gets some credentials when the application is created, and via this credential it can access those 5 APIs via this product. So what that application is doing is this application is subscribing to this product. So once the subscription is done, then inside this product, if you have 4, 5, 3, how many APIs, you are then able to call any of the APIs. But without subscribing to a product, you cannot call any APIs within that. So let's say this application is only subscribed to this product, and this product at the end is having 1, 2, 3, 4 APIs, then it can only call this 4. But this application cannot call the APIs which have cannot call this product here, and inside this product, if there are these 2 APIs, then these 2 APIs are not accessible to this application. Yeah. So that's how you can create meaningful products here, and then you can create applications, and then via these applications you can basically subscribe products. So this application is subscribed to a sales order product, whether this application is also subscribed to an employee product, for example. Yeah. So there are 4 APIs within this, and there are 2 APIs within this. Then this application can call all the 6 APIs. Let's say you create an application called as internal testing, for example. Yeah. And this application is only created for your developer purpose. Yeah. And this application is subscribing to this product here, all via Trace API. So at the end, you are via this application, you can then call all 100 APIs within your organization for testing purpose. You don't need to go and subscribe to each of these products. Let's say this one, maybe further for more products, just to test your APIs. Yeah, that's why I said you can create one product where you can list all the APIs, and then you can create one testing application, so that via this application you get access to all the APIs. Yeah. But if you just via this testing application, if you only subscribe to a product, let's say a sales order product, will you be able to call APIs which are also part of employee product? Can anyone answer this? Yes, Kirdo? So you have raised your hand. Any question?
No, no, Varun, it's by mistake. No.
Okay. So I mean, if this application is only subscribing to, let's say, a sales order product, can this application also call APIs which are listed under employee product? Is it possible to do so?
No.
No, right? Correct. So that's why this application needs to subscribe to this product and as well as this product as well. So that's what this says. So one application can subscribe to multiple products. Yeah. And then one product can be listed in multiple applications as well. So that's how. So remember this picture, everything revolves around this picture, basically. 99% of the development is here. Yeah. This is where you create your API proxy. This is where you configure your providing applications. This is where you create a product, and you list proxies within this product. Then you publish this product basically here. What we are doing here in Business Hub is, once you click on publish button here, so you click on this publish button, at the end this product is visible in your Business Hub, and you can log into the Business Hub and then can see this product there and can create an application and subscribe to this product. So now if I will tell you, if you see this SAP API Business Hub, you see these products. So these products are nothing but all these things here. So this is nothing but this tile here, sales order. This tile is nothing but this tile here. employee. This style is nothing but, let's say, this style here, for example. Yeah. So, and that's why they are called as products, basically. Now, if you click on a product, let's say if you click on S/4HANA, you see what is this? You get an example. What does this product is? This product is nothing but blah blah blah. It belongs to S/4HANA with some built-in technologies, including machine learning, advanced analytics, some features, and some APIs which it has. And then you click on APIs. Then you click on APIs, and then you see what are the APIs which are part of this product. Yeah. So what we have seen this, we created a product, and then there were different APIs which we listed in this product. So this is nothing but this. So this is a product, SAP S/4HANA, and inside this product there are APIs then which are there. Yeah. So this is nothing but a product, and inside this product there are APIs. And as the name shows, S/4HANA, so you can already know which system this belongs to. Can anyone tell? So S/4HANA, right? Because all these APIs are then the provider of all these APIs are S/4HANA. So that's where that's given a name as a product S/4HANA. So you can see, you can take example of any of these APIs and subscribe, and then you can utilize this. So click on this, and then so it also has furthermore APIs. So let's say this basic product availability info, and then here you can see some documentations, API reference. So you can see, you can then document your APIs, how you want to call. You can try out from here and things like that. So that is API management, I would say, in a nutshell. We still have 5 minutes, so I would just give you some glimpse about the application, and then you maybe take your time over the weekend, or if you have some time later on, just try to navigate yourselves within some sections. So API management, as I said, SAP have clubbed with integration suite. So you do not see a separate application, although API management is also offered as a separate service. As I told, that you don't need integration suite like cloud integration or so on. You can also have your standalone API management. So if I do an API management, you can also subscribe to this API management directly from this tenant. But if you have an enterprise license of integration suite, so a complete license of integration suite, then you also get all the capabilities of integration suite. So one is cloud integration and the second is API management. So when you come here, so in this section, you all know this screen. Yeah, this page. So this is a famous our SAP integration suite page. We have seen this many times within when we were doing our cloud integration training. And in this, integration and APIs are the ones you have already seen, where you develop your cloud integration packages and all. But there are, in this integration suite, they have SAP has also clubbed API portal. Just keep this in mind, that this integration suite only talks about this section, which is API portal. It does not talks about business hub now. And then in this API portal, we have this section called as configure APIs. If you go in this configure APIs, I created some for my demo purpose, if this is everything is working or not. So you can ignore these things, but this is nothing but your API portal. in the here you create an API proxy. You can do several. This is what we will see in our next chapters, where we are going to do build APIs, publish APIs, consume APIs, discover API packages, yeah, API business up, and all those things. So all this is visible here. So you create your API proxy here. You basically create your system here. Yeah, this one. Sorry, not this. Where did it gone? Ah, sorry, that was the one. Why I'm confused here. So this API provider is nothing but the system which we were talking about before. So this system you create here, the proxies, which then you can create here in this style, where you link this proxy to a provider. So you link a proxy to a provider. Yeah, these two things. Then basically we will see later on how this all comes together. Then you create a product, and inside this product you can link proxies which are then available here. And after all this thing is done, you can then navigate to Business Hub. So API portal is clubbed together with an integration suite. So you can do three things here: create a system, API provider, develop an API proxy, and create a product and assign this proxy to a product. So this three steps you can do it in API portal, which is integration suite. And now the last part comes here, application, which is these three things as I talked about before, which was what three things: discover, explore, and consume, right? These three things. Uh, these three. These three things are done on Business Hub. Now, how do you navigate to Business Hub? So in this section here, you see the style. So in here, when you click on this, there is this button here. Now remember, in your trial versions or in your whenever you click this for the first time, it will take time to set up. So don't worry. Sometimes it may also take 1 hour to basically create it. So but when I've done this setup, so when I now click this, so I am now opening our SAP API Business Hub Enterprise. So this is nothing but my API Business Hub. These are the tiles. This is nothing but these are the same thing which SAP has done in its Business Hub here. You see the name is the same. So here are nothing but tiles for the products, and this is nothing but our Business Hub. Yeah. We can manage, we can do whatever we want. That is also we can see later on. But this is something which you can try. Just open your integration suite, go to this section of APIs here, APIs, and see your API proxy, a provider section. Then click on this if you see product and application. So then you can cover this picture. So you see a provider, you see a proxy, you see a product, and you see an application. So just check these things. And after that, click on here and you open this API Business Hub and just check if you are able to navigate to API Business Hub. Yeah. So that's all for today. I would say I had to give this complete theory and introduction part in this session so that it sets the tone and sets the base. Because now in further sessions, if I tell you, let's create a proxy, let's create a provider, let's link this proxy to a product, let's publish this product, yeah, let's consume this, let's create an application. So these terminologies and these terms should now you will understand basically. So that's the reason why today's session was mainly more theoretical, and I hope you have got the relevant understanding of the topics which we have covered today.